Hi guys, and happy holidays. I hope you have a great time whatever you're celebrating, and just have a nice break from all the crap that's gone on throughout 2020. So this is the second video released today, and what we're going to look at is extra arming safety and how we can disable it safely. So I'll cover more of that after the intro, so let's just get into the video. So in the intro, I gave a little teaser about what this video is about. So if you're unaware, there are two things in INAV that you can change in the CLI to basically try to stop you disarming in flight or to make it easier to arm. Now, from a personal point of view, I don't like turning these things on because the way I see it, they're safety features. They're there for a reason. They're there to prevent people getting hurt if you accidentally arm, that sort of thing. But there's a way we can achieve the same result in a safe way. So I'm going to show you that in this video. So first of all, let's have a look at what these things actually are. So the first one is INAV Extra Arming Safety. And what that will do is if you have that turned off, it will mean you can arm without GPS and in any flight mode. So return to home, for example, you can actually arm when it's in return to home. You can't arm with the throttle in anything but the low position still with this turned on or with it turned off. So it doesn't actually cover that. But what it does do is if you've not got a GPS fix or whatever flight mode you're in, you can arm. But there's a couple of reasons why I don't actually like this being set to off at all. The first thing that sort of should give alarm bells is it allows you to arm without a GPS fix. This means you've got no home position stored. So if you go off flying and you need to do return to home, it's got no home position because it stores that on your first arm. The only real reason to turn this off is for if you're testing on the bench, in which case the better option is to use allow bypass, which I think you put the yaw stick to the right and then arm, and that will allow the bypass. But what I'll do is in the video I'll actually show you what these things do. The other option is disarm kill switch. Now this is the one I really don't like because it basically will, if you flip the switch into the disarm position, it will not disarm the craft until you put the throttle low. The whole point, in my opinion, of a kill switch is to do exactly that, to kill the model no matter what it's doing. You know, if you've got to do that, then it's extra time, could be someone's fingers. So kill switch should kill the model. That's, 100%. So that's why I don't like this. The reason why people turn it off is so that they don't disarm in flight. But what I'm going to be showing you in this video is a way that even if you do, it can be easily rearmed without any issues whatsoever. So I'm just going to interrupt myself because I've just thought of another reason why the disable kill switch is not a good idea. It's because if you accidentally disarm in flight, there's no message that pops up to say that you've disarmed. So you could carry on flying completely oblivious to the fact that you've disarmed. Then for whatever reason, whether you just want to lose altitude or glide for a bit or whatever, as soon as you lower that throttle, it's going to disarm and you're going to wonder why the hell it's disarmed. It's not like if you accidentally flick the switch, you sort of know about it. But if you do it, nothing happens. 20 minutes later, on some flights it could be an hour later depending on the model, you lower the throttle, then it disarms, you're confused as to why it's disarmed. Much better to, if you do accidentally disarm, just get it out of the way, get it over and done with, and carry on with the flight, which is exactly what I'm going to show you how to do next. What we'll do now is take a look at the extra safety arming. Right, so we're in INAV at the CLI, and just to cheat, I've copied the code from the website. So we've just done a get. So you can see as standard, it comes with extra safety arming on, which for most cases is absolutely fine. As I say, the only reason not to need that is if you're on the bench testing, in which case go for allow bypass, which will let you arm. But what I'll do is I'll show you exactly what's going on. So at the moment it's on. So let's get out of CLI and go to the modes. So we're in the mode screen. And you can see when I arm, it does nothing. All right, so we're in angle. If I arm, which angles are fine, flight mode, you can arm in angle. If I go to arm, it does absolutely nothing at all because the extra safety arming is on and I don't have a valid GPS signal. So I've got no satellites, which is expected. I'm indoors. GPS is hooked up. It's all working. So what we'll do now is go to set extra safety arming equals allow bypass. So what this will now allow me to do is when I'm yawing to the right, it will allow me to arm. So we'll just wait through. The runtime checks are fine. Navigation isn't safe. So if I just flick the arming switch, you can see we're still the same as it was before. But if I yaw to the right and arm, we're now armed. So this is a good way if you want to test. There's no problem with that at all. It's a great method to do it. So disarm. If I try to arm again, you can see until I reboot the flight controller, it will still arm. So what extra safety arming off does is it basically behaves like that all the time, no matter where the model is, no matter what state of GPS. So we can see with this little triangle up here, it will say it's armed. No matter what, I can arm. But one caveat to that is what I'm going to do now is raise the throttle and I'm going to arm, and as you can see it stays disarmed. Now the funny thing was I was recording this a second ago, which I will put up on screen just to prove that it happened, and it did actually arm. Put it back in angle. I was at about mid throttle, put it in the arm position, and it did arm. What I've found for most cases is if the throttle is raised, it doesn't arm. But what we're going to do now is go through and show the safe way of doing it. So what I'm going to do is actually go back into CLI one last time, and I'm going to set this to on. And I'll go through the modes page and just prove that it's all on. Sorry, what I didn't show is if you're in RTH, it will actually arm still. So if I go back to modes, put it in arm, nothing's happened. If I go for the override, nothing's happened. Extra safety arming is fully on, so it won't let me arm. So what we can do is actually put in a test to see if we're flying, and if we're flying, we can turn off the extra safety arming. We're above, above people. We're actually in the air. We want it so that if we disarm, it's nice and simple. So what we can do is use a greater than, and we'll pick a flight characteristic. So let's maybe look at ground speed. And we'll set this up quite slow. So let's bring up our browser. So you're not going to get things that have got a stall speed lower than maybe 15 miles an hour. So that should be pretty safe. So we'll convert that to centimeters a second. So 15 miles an hour. We'll say 670 centimeters a second. So if you wanted to use a different speed, then, fine. So 10 miles an hour would be 447 centimeters a second. We're moving fast enough where it's not going to be us walking with it. It's going to be the plane is actually flying. So we're going to set this up to our ground speed at above 670. If you've got a pitot tube, I would use airspeed instead. It would be more reliable. And the next thing that we're going to do is set override extra safety arming, or override safety arming and when logic condition is 0. So what this will be is if we're above 15 miles an hour, extra safety arming will be overridden. So because I can't show you that in here, what I'm actually going to do is change it to use a switch. I wouldn't recommend doing that. I would just do it on the flight parameter, then it's automatic. So we go high, RC channel 11, and I save that. I've actually set this up on this switch here so you can see it working. So this would be below 15 miles an hour. It's not overridden, so you can't accidentally arm. It's still got all the safety checks, so the GPS will get a lock. You won't be in a flight mode. But if we're flying and above 15 miles an hour, it will be overridden. So what does that mean? So if we go back to the modes page, you can see arming does nothing. If we're flying, I can now arm straight away. I can put the throttle up and it will arm straight away. So if we're flying, we accidentally disarm, we rearm, and then it's gonna do it straight away. So if you do accidentally disarm in flight using this, you can rearm. Doesn't matter if you've got satellites, what flight mode you're in, whether you're upside down. And as soon as we slow down and we're below about 15 miles an hour again, it's back to normal. You need to be in have a satellite lock, all that good stuff. I'm back again, just because I wanted to clarify what I think is the best settings for everyone to use. So first of all, I think in the CLI, the best setting to set the extra safety arming to is allow bypass. That means that if you're on the bench and you want to test things like your motor or anything like that, you can hold the yaw to the right and arm, and it's fine. The second thing that I just wanted to clarify is which programming feature set to use, and that is 100% the flight parameters, which is detecting the speed. The switch I purely put on for demo purposes. I wouldn't use that in a real circumstance. Firstly, it's just a waste of a switch and a channel, really. It's things that could be better used on your transmitter. Secondly, it knows when you're flying, so it knows when you want these safety features disabled. There's no real need for having them on a bench because you can use the allow bypass. There's no real point having it when it's sat on the floor before you fly, because you want those safety checks to, one, make sure that you've got a GPS lock, so you've got a home position to return to, and two, it's just a safer thing to have. And when it's actually up in the air flying, it disables it, so if you do accidentally disarm, you can rearm quickly. So there we go, extra safety arming, allow bypass, so you can work on it on the bench. Programming side, use the flight parameters. So there you go. I hope you guys found this video useful. It's a nice safe way to be able to rearm instantly in flight, but on the ground you still have all your safety features enabled. So thanks for watching. If you did find it useful, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and click the bell, and this will get the video out to more people so they too can learn how to do this and be safe at the same time. Thank you guys. Fly your models like you stole them. Hope you have a great time. I'll see you.